corporate environment where they're also going to see the same kind of same but different. The dynamics are going to be different, but it certainly does tend to highlight itself when you are building a business.
Okay.
But I think for business people anyway, people that are entrepreneurs in general, it doesn't matter if you're making vegan cookies or if you're building a tech platform, there's still a lot of the same dynamics and a lot of the same barriers that come up for people, right?
Totally. And we're live on that note.
Bang.
Hello.
3, 2,
2,
1,
and go.
Boom.
Welcome to Flow Network Studios. I'm Sarah Felice, the founder here. And we have Tim Glover.
That's me.
The founder of the Flow Response. We have Sarah Sully, the founder of Space I Share. And we have been coming together for quite some time on the regular, masterminding about new ways of doing business and the changes and dynamics of yin rising, female leadership, and what this looks like within business. So we just thought we'd invite you in and just have a really organic conversation. And also we're testing out this new equipment because we're going live and we're doing these shows now. Tim and I have been doing these workshops at WeWork every Thursday for the last little while, and so we're now going to be bringing in the live stream aspects of this.
And we have a live stream tonight at 6 o'clock.
Which is awesome. I'm so excited for that.
Yes.
There's a lot of people who want to tap in and listen, I think.
Right. So I don't know if you guys want to say a little bit more about yourself or just dive
I'll
into
just
the combo.
Jump in. So been a business consultant for a number of years, 25 years or something like that. Also a singer-songwriter, musician. So I have a left brain, right brain orientation to business. And over the years, we've helped businesses double, triple in size, helping them learn to be outrageously themselves. We've actually worked together for about 6 months, I think, something like that. And the frame of reference I bring to the party as a male is that most of the structures in business, and very specific to the funding component, and that's actually just identified around idea technologies and then digital technologies, that has led to VCs getting in that space, incubators, accelerators, and the whole idea of helping people in tech, and you're in tech, learn how to actually move it from just an idea to a funded proposition to a scale up to an exit. And in the process, they've devised a system that runs very, very contrary to what we've used in consulting. And so it's been an interesting journey to actually start to look at what's going on in tech, because tech is actually changing the world. And we've had a number of conversations around the idea of, okay, let's actually look at as tech, but it's the changing the world bit that I think is really important. And currently right now, it is a place where 98% of the funding through VCs is actually going to men, 2% to women, which is kind of an interesting. Yeah, let's just call it interesting.
Yeah.
And then you've had a lot of experience with that. So maybe I'm interested in is the implications for the world, the world of finance, the world as we understand it. Yin is rising. There is a need to be more whole in our orientation to life and business. And we've been talking about this for quite some time now.
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming from. That's my space relative to this dialogue. Maybe you can introduce your space, and then we can actually just jump right into a conversation.
Sounds good. So I'm Sarah Sully. I am the CEO of Space I Share. We are a marketplace for storage and parking. Think of us like an Airbnb for storage and parking. I've been doing this now for a few years, and before that I've had over 25 years experience in sales, management, marketing, and operations. I've worked in startup before. I was a general manager at another startup before I started Space I Share, and I've worked a lot in digital media. Worked with big companies like Rogers Media, Waste Management, worked in television distribution. So I've had a good range of positions, but mostly in sales. And so for me, there was an opportunity where I saw a need in the world that I wanted to bring to the market. And through a series of serendipitous events, I found myself creating a platform with the help of many others, and brought it to market. And so through that process, having learned a lot now over the past 6 months, there's been a lot of ups and downs that entrepreneurs inevitably face, and we sometimes will call it, you've jumped the cliff, meaning, you've burned your bridges, you've made that jump, you've, stopped holding the side of the pool, and you've gone down or gone in, or whatever you want to say is your analogy. But once you're there, it's holy shit, what am I going to do now? How am I going to do this? And you don't really have any way of navigating, except for all these people that come along in your life that start putting you through these funnels, through these programs of saying, okay, this is what you need to do, this is how to be successful. And so what I'm beginning to learn now through sitting with Tim and now Sarah is just how navigating the world of entrepreneurship is not necessarily the way that we've been taught. In fact, navigating the world in general is not the way we've been taught. And I think this is a great forum for now us to go out into the world and start to help those that are in the same boat as I've been, as we've all been, and make some sense and make some gains in what we're trying to achieve, and just make the world a better place, as you said. So.
Well, and I like you've shared with me, obviously off camera, your why for creating Space I Share, and your why for why you've done consulting, and our why is my why. We've all converged on. It's similar. It's about it's about creating this new narrative for relationships and business so that it's sustained success.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're looking at the planet as a whole and looking for sustainability, and that's what you're doing through your Space I Share, and that's what you're doing through developing, and we're helping businesses be able to sustain their success with these new inner dynamics that, again, no one's talked about, and in fact our education has killed this creative process and killed our natural tendency as human beings to even connect with masculine, with feminine. And so being able to have real, raw, authentic conversations about our perspectives and where we're coming from with our unique talents and passions and backgrounds, it's really powerful. And this is what we're calling the Toronto Network Effect, and we're really inviting anybody who has this orientation, that's really waking up to this new orientation of navigating not just business but all aspects of life, and come in person and have a chat with us at WeWork on Thursdays at 6 p.m.
On Richmond. There's a number of Richmond
Yes,
Richmond location. If you can't be there, you can join us live, and really this is about interacting with our audience as well, and having a true platform for people to communicate their challenges and also the opportunities, right?
Perfect. So I'm going to start with a question. Having set the bigger context, we're here to actually be able to go and change the world for the better in using our particular skill set, what we call our sweet spot, and be outrageously ourselves.
Yes.
In the existing system that presents itself as the business system, and I'll throw this your way, is what do you believe is actually working? Like what is actually, what is helpful in the existing infrastructure that has helped you from the idea stage to where you've gotten to right now?
So what is working are the mentors that were entrepreneurs mostly, that are coming back to help those that are in the stage that they used to be at. And in that sense, it is a very collaborative space where people sit down with you and are not in any way looking for anything to get out of it other than I'm just passing on what I know to what you might want to know. And I've found that most people say, listen, that's just my opinion. It's always in here what you have to decide to do. And I never really took that little smidge of advice as much to heart as I do now, because we're often hammered, and you'll find this as you start going up the chain and getting investors with their ideas of this is how it has to be. And it's like, I was just going to dissipate and do some crazy stuff over here, but you're driving me down this path that doesn't feel intuitive. And when you start doing that, that is the wrong way to go. So I think mentors coming to the table and helping, who have not only jumped the cliff, but they've also started to learn how to navigate in that way. Because there are many people that have made great businesses and sold them, and maybe it's a brick and mortar, and they're like, yep, now I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it, and it's boom, boom, boom like this. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm really talking about the people that come at it with a heart of wanting to help and wanting to bring you into that dialogue of how do you navigate and how do you use your intuition? So, and they're not all out there, like there's not many people out there, but when those people come back into the world, I think, and come back into the ecosystem, I think that's really powerful. Of course, it always helps to have some kind of program in order to take people from like point A to point B. So, those things that some of us maybe cross our eyes at when they think about financial spreadsheets and stuff like that. They do need to be there, but we need to make them somehow in a way that is easier to understand, a little bit more fun. How do we just, bring that into the mix? So I think someone teaching that is important. We just have to make sure that the way we're teaching people is not by the book, MBA, systematic. It has to be this way, because no business ever works systematically as well as it could work through the inspiration of the leader.
So if I could pick up on that point, is there's a lot of education that's going on, or there's attempts at education right now in Toronto. When we were talking to an individual who was starting up a pre-incubator on behalf of a venture capital fund, he was saying that there was, and I've never checked these numbers, but at least 100 accelerators in Toronto.
They are coming up everywhere.
So, from my observation, and again, when I say this runs contrary, the system that's been in place now is being put in place by professionals or through the process of incubation, acceleration, and then in-house scale-up. It runs entirely contrary to what it is that we've done as consultants. And I happen to have a partner who is an educator and also understands that the education system is the way that we've been taught, and that's how the VCs and the incubators and accelerators have taught us. There's a talking head up here, someone's actually talking at us, and then say, okay, here's what we'll do. The first lesson is this, how to actually ideation. So we're going to figure out what the idea is. And then the second phase is minimum viable product. So we're going to actually do that. Then we go and talk to 500 potential clients just to get some feedback. Then the next stage, so it's what I'll call a straight line orientation.
Very systematic.
So it's very systematic, because that's the education system. In the education system, there are a number of people who I admire, Jim Collins being one of the, I think, fantastic researchers out there, has actually helped me understand that there was a time where entrepreneurs were looked at as weirdos. They were mavericks. My gosh, 3 heads, they're just weird. They're blowing up the whole business landscape. Let's keep them at a distance. And then through, I think, the 70s, by the end of the 70s, entrepreneurs started to look at, hey, these are groovy cats. This is cool. I want to be like Steve Jobs. I want to be like Bill Gates. I want to be like those folks. And then through the 80s, what happened was the education system, we had already put professional managers through the MBA school. So now we started to actually figure out, how can we actually teach entrepreneurship? And this is where I think it actually all went sideways, is that the educators had no understanding personally of what it's involved in going into the swamp every freaking day and be totally ashamed telling your friends, how's it going? It's going great. I've lost my car. I used to have 3 kids. I only have 1 kid now because I had to actually sell them or whatever, some version of that. And so, but not understanding that's the reality in the trenches, in the swamp. The big schools and the MBA schools and business schools then started to treat entrepreneurship like a process. Yeah. And the process was a straight line, just like the education process was a straight line. And VCs picked up on that. And VCs who have been successful in exiting got a bunch of money. And what they've been trying to do is they're trying to help people like you avoid all the pain that they had for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years in the trenches. Oh my God, if we only had money, that would solve everything. So that they then come in and they say, okay, you know what? I know your pain because I've been there. Here's what you need. You need a straight line, and you need someone helping you follow that straight line, and we'll give you money here. And if you actually do what we say you need to do, then it'll be here. And we're doing this for your benefit because we don't want to have you go through the same pain. That's not working, because it actually just takes all of the you out of that, and it ends up being, for various reasons, I'm now of the belief that all the VCs are interested in being able to go and help people like you do phenomenally well. So they can actually get their 20% annualized, and they're willing to invest and not get anything. So they're the ones who are going to now start calling the shots. But in your situation, how does that feel? Saying, here's the first tranche, here's the second tranche, here's the tranche. This is what I know you believe this is your business, honey. But we know I've been in that situation. I thought it was my business as well, and it really didn't work until someone came in and then through reverse engineering their history and reinventing their life experience. I was really in the crapper when I didn't have any money. So the person who had money showed me the way. So that's my job now.
Yeah.
Have you run into that a bit?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's, I just want to throw in, that's really codependent relationships, which is what this society has really just been nurturing and taught.
Well, that's the education system teaches codependence.
Exactly. And that trickling through into business, and then what that does to business and real dreams and your real why behind why you do what you do, and for so many others, right? You lose that creative spark. So I just wanted to speak to that, because we have so much good dialogue around how new business, new relationships, it's truly that interdependence. Right?
Yes. And so you have to go codependent, you have to move to independence, which you start off, and then all of a sudden, okay, I'm now risking everything to be able to go and bring this idea, and you move from independent to codependent, as opposed to interdependent. And in particular, a woman's orientation to interdependence is very different, I think, in being a man, than what I've seen men actually do in a relationship. Men actually believe that interdependence, I mean, it's the generalization, it looks more like codependence. I'll do this, then you do this, and there's a compromise. And the interdependence is actually, no, we're all going to collaborate. I'm going to know, I'm in a problem scenario, or actually trying to evolve a solution to a problem. I know 10% of the problem and 2% of the answer. So I'm going to weigh in. You know 15% of the problem and 5% of an answer. You're going to weigh in. And then you know your bit, and then we kind of muck about, but that's built on trust, collaboration, all kinds of stuff that we never got taught in school. We never got taught in the incubator or the accelerator. We never got taught at home. And here we are, the year's 2019.
And what are our models to look to for this healthy type of dynamic and relationship and new ways of doing business?
Yeah.
So I do want to go back to your experience that Tim was saying.
Yes, it says, what is your experience going, and what does that feel like?
Yeah.
As an independent person who's actually got it all on the line.
Yeah.
How has that felt?
So I'll talk about it from kind of experiences that I've seen out there with other people as well as myself. I have spoken with founders who have been funded quite well, and had, up until that point, had a little bit of traction and started going in a certain direction based on what their investors were telling them to do. And it grows and grows and crashes because it was never the right direction they should have gone in the first place. And they unfortunately listened to what the investors said because they held all the cards and didn't go with their own intuition, which is, I'm pretty sure I built this for a very different reason.
It's like you, in the earlier episodes of the flow responders, spraying the Roundup. How quickly can you grow, and then you can't manage,
you just grow as fast as you possibly can.
It's like 20-day-old chickens. Like, how good are they going to really be?
Right.
That's not going to work. You need to let things grow naturally. And
flow.
It should be in flow, and that flow comes from you yourself being able to grow and shift and become the person you need to be to stand in the shoes of that future person who is going to be able to take on that role.
Beautifully stated.
So so in the meantime, as you're mucking about and trying to figure things out, funded or not funded, you have to hope that you have the people who have your back, whether they're funding you or mentoring you or just being your family, to be there to say, you make it, you decide what you want to do. and not feel like you're getting pushed into a certain way that shouldn't be.
Right, and I think the other important piece, and you sort of mentioned this too, like in the past, in the business, it was very much of like put on a mask and put on a face of like everything's fine.
Yeah,
and
fake it
really,
till you make
fake
it.
You're fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work anymore. It's
Right.
like you really have to just do it until you prove it, as we say. But
Yeah.
that whole,
I like that.
like how we're disconnecting ourselves, our authentic selves of
Yeah.
the human experience
Yeah.
by feeling like we can't really express how we're feeling, you know, and not really be able to have trust with a community where you can express like the ups and downs that this journey, you know, we talk about the hero's journey brings. That is everything.
Well, sorry.
Well, you introduced the hero's journey, and I introduced the idea of a straight line. The straight line, the education system, 100 years ago, we actually understood quantum physics. So we understood it at its infancy, and it has actually not been taught in schools in the education system except at the PhD level, because they don't understand how complexity works. And complexity, to simplify it, is iterative. It's circles. It's along the lines of hero's journey. Joseph Campbell's work around the hero's journey is you start out in the known world, you think you have a sense of what's going on, then bang down into the unknown world,
I don't have a sense of what's
and
going
then
on
you
at all.
have no understanding whatsoever. And the piece that is not, I don't think in the translation, listening to him, he's very clear. The unknown is the inner world.
Yeah.
It's going inside. The entrepreneurial journey has been taught as an external journey. It has actually taken, with the flywheel and Jim Collins' work, it is actually something that is an outside circle that continues to grow. But the way it's being taught at the entrepreneurship level, and I think in the incubator accelerator, is this is an outside journey. And you look for mentors and people who fund you to say, go on the straight line. I know this thing around this circle thing that actually works, but it doesn't work for me. Go on this, hit this, and I'll give you some more money. But to be able to move from codependent to independent to interdependent, you got to go inside.
And that straight line, it's so easy to grab onto, because it appears as though there's a path laid out for you that's going to be clear, and you can just kind of coast.
How calming is that, right? Oh my God.
Right.
Thank you. Someone gave me a bunch of money and said it's a straight line.
Yeah. Oh, month-over-month traction.
No,
Here we
Yeah,
come.
month- exactly.
No, my dreams are on their way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that connection, I mean, in my experience, I'm looking at the returns that VCs are getting on the investment, and some of the stats I've looked at is this the millennial era, or the millennial cohort in particular. It's got the lowest traction as entrepreneurs, so it's had the least success in that entrepreneurs of any previous generation. Now it's interesting.
Right.
There's more educated, formal education around entrepreneurship. There is incubators, accelerators, most of which are paid by the VCs. There is some payment, I think, to actually participate. There's mentors who are coming in not getting paid.
Yeah.
We've never had more focus on entrepreneurship and productivity as entrepreneurs with less results. It's the inverse relationship relative to the investment made. And so what we're suggesting, I mean, obviously suggesting there is a better way. There's a totally different way of orienting that is an inside out orientation and helping.
Not only is it a better way, it's actually the only way.
Yeah.
It's really the only way moving forward, and I think this is what you're in that world and you're experiencing it. Like it's real.
Yeah.
The women are not getting funded. They're challenged. They want to give up on their dreams. Like they're losing hope. Like this is the time. And thank you for being a voice
and one of the things I'm
experience.
going to say in our orientation to this. I mean, every time we've talked, I know for sure I've said, the answer is in there.
Yeah.
Like my objective is to be a guide and actually hold up mirrors and metaphors for you to say, okay, so how do you interpret that?
Yeah.
Is that working for you?
Yeah.
Does that piss you off?
Yeah.
Is pissed off good? Is it bad? That orientation to education, then consulting, then guidance and interdependence, I know works because we've been doing it for 25 years, and it's worked. It actually
and
works.
we just have to both say thank you to Tim for being one of those males that's stepping outside of the box and
Absolutely.
coming back and showing the
Absolutely.
way that
it's
your experience. Yes.
Helping to show which way is up, why things are happening the way they're happening. This feeling of what am I doing wrong, and how can this possibly be happening to me? And then having someone like Tim come along and say, it's not your fault, and we're gonna work on this and figure this out together.
Yeah.
So in working with Tim, in terms of going in, have you had that orientation before of like going in, and how has that changed your business, your relationship?
Oh, well, the whole idea of intuition and just doing that background check with myself to say, is this innately something that makes sense to me? Is this the vision I have for myself, for my company, for the future? Because I know that my company is going there. I've already seen it. It's happening. And when you meet people along the way, they do tend to like swerve you side to side, and you're like, oh wait, I've been told I'm wrong here. I've been told I didn't do this right here. I've been told these different things. And sure, we can take all kinds of criticism, and a lot of it can be very helpful, and a lot of it is not helpful. It's really how we interpret it.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, having someone like Tim who has helped me just crystallize what I need to do and how I need to do it, and in the way that I'm now starting to step into, has been a momentous shift in my ability to it's confidence, really. It's just, it makes me feel better about the future. 100%.
I'm reminded of a number of our conversations, and one of the pieces that I always introduced, because I learned this from my wife, business partner, is if a person can't shift, they can't move into a scary place, and they can't do it for themselves. One of the little trick guidance questions is, what would you do if this was your daughter?
Yeah, and I have two.
Yeah, and so I've used that a number of times with you. I know. It said, with your daughter, just got a big goosebumps. With your daughter, would you want to actually say, no, honey, I know exactly who you're going to be and how you're going to grow up and all the gates you're going to go through, and this one's going to be here, and this one's going to be here, and this one's going to be here. And you know what? I'm going to get you a new bike at this stage, I'm going to get you a new car here, and I'm going to buy your house at this stage. If you go along that journey. Is that the journey you would take them on?
No way.
Right.
No way.
You even have your arms crossed.
I know. I'm like, no,
like a shit
doesn't
idea.
sound like good to me at all. No.
Yeah, so you know that the path inside is to help them be outrageously them.
Exactly.
And it's an inside.
I know you're going to
path.
bounce around from thing to thing, and I know you're going to get hurt and you're going to get bruised, but those bruises, those scars, are the things that make us.
Yes.
They're the things that make us stronger. And if I'm just putting Band-Aids all over you and just taking you up that little hill and saying, oh, don't worry, you're not going to fall because I got you, in a way that just doesn't allow them to make mistakes, then I've just created, as we know, children that are not able to absorb any kind of negativity in their world. And that's actually what a lot has happened to the kids now.
Right. And so the education, understand that we don't have Dr. Spock. Back when I was a kid, apparently Mom and Dad would use the book Dr. Spock says do this and this. It's the education system, and then basically the system we live in. It actually informs, this is how you fit in.
Yeah.
There's a hierarchy.
Yeah.
You're here, and you aspire to go here in that hierarchy. So if you want to do that, here's how you need to go. And it needs to be a straight line, and you need to do this, 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 and this. Sure as hell, don't be outrageously you, because you might actually be creative and be someone who's actually outside the box.
Yeah. You bring up an interesting point back to the child. And it makes me think of, and if you're a mom out there and you're listening, or a dad, but specifically a mom, when you have a child, let's say a baby, and that baby is upset about something, or that baby needs something, you suddenly innately know what to do. You're like, I know what's going on with my kid. It's my kid. But you have even your own mother or mother-in-law or anyone saying, oh, there's this problem with your child. She's hungry, he's hungry, you broke its arm, like there's something wrong with this colicky child. And you're like, no, I got this. I know what's going on with my child. And it's the same way of us with our inner selves.
And with inner child.
Our inner child.
Get into that.
I got this. I know this. And for my business, all the signs have pointed to do not do it this particular way because it's just too hard. And for me, I'm just like, well, no, this is my baby, and this is going to be a really big baby, and it's going to be hard. But it's gonna grow the way it needs to grow, and not in the way that I'm being kind of cajoled into making it faster gains. And I'm seeing that with competitors. It's
You see the fire come on there. Yeah, you go, that's the Cali.
It's
That's
important.
what's needed.
The anger, like there is
Yeah.
such an anger on the planet because people can feel that we're on these paths that are ultimately leading to nowhere.
Yeah.
We're losing
Yeah.
our true.
Well, we're so muted, right?
Yes.
We're just not empowered to be who we want to be. And
Yeah.
it started when we were kids, and
Yeah.
it started when we were told, like, you know, don't do that and don't make noise, and you know, don't take that down there, and
Fit
it's
in,
our
fit in,
parents.
fit in.
It's
Yeah.
fit in, exactly. And our parents
To
are
keep
trying
you
to
safe.
protect us, to
Yes.
keep us safe. But it's actually that self-expression that we needed as children to be able to go out there and feel that we've got the parents who have our back,
Yeah.
but we can go out and do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And say what we want, and just, this is me, and I
Yes.
want to just be me.
Yes.
But as we get older, we all know, we all lose that ability to be who we really truly are. So,
So
it's-
what's the question, Tim?
Well, so what is this?
So
What
what's
is
the
the question?
question?
What the question
is
is
this the first question?
The
What-
main question.
The main question.
is where?
We're 2 minutes.
Yeah. So the main question
was
is
the
just
main
to
question.
flow or fit in, right? So to
Oh.
flow or fit in,
That's
that
what
is
it
the
is.
question.
And,
And-
we're approaching on our 30-minute mark of
Oh,
our
wow.
first show already. I've not been
Is anybody
texting
watching?
people. Well, I don't. This is the first time I've used this. I don't have any idea of knowing how to do that at this point. But that's okay.
That's
The
okay.
point is
That
people
was
can
fun.
watch us at any point in time. So thank you for being here. Thank you for engaging.
Yes.
We'll
Thanks.
look at the comments and interact. This is a new page and all new things, but all new things in this landscape. However, we've all come from rich experiences in terms of how not to do things, and really empowering one another and community at large. There's a new way, and not only is there a new way, but it's needed.
Yeah,
not
it's
just
needed,
for
and it's needed
ourselves,
now
but for the
for men
generations
and
to come.
women.
Yeah.
For
And
men and
yeah.
women,
Yeah.
more of a collaborative understanding. So
Totally.
should we do some sort of final remarks, maybe around either, okay, what are the threats, what are the opportunities, or just riff whatever you feel. That's just how.
I can start like this conversation. It's the stories
Yeah.
that are just like it's over the moon, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's interesting because I can watch when we actually tell stories, we're actually personalizing, we're creating context.
Yeah.
So we were taught competence. That's what we're being taught. That's what the whole incubator accelerator process is competence. Then in these conditions you do this, in this condition you do that. So it's competence, conditions, and context is when we're now starting to move into with stories, and above that is capacity. And so the biggest thing that we can do for ourselves is build internal bandwidth capacity through telling stories and sharing stories with each other that actually really engage us emotionally to say, wait a minute, what if this is not a test run? What if this is the real deal? This is my life. And if it's my life, I want to be outrageously me. That's what I took. Like for me, it's such a rich opportunity and a rich exchange when we hear stories about, okay, here's what we do with kids. Here's what we do with an orientation to funders. So thank you very much for those types of things. Those are, they're the gems that allow us to say, yeah, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not alone.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
not
Yes,
alone.
That's
Yeah.
the power that social media has brought
Yeah.
to us. And
Yeah.
even for me, my background is television broadcasting, and I was, before smartphones existed, this type of technology would have been millions of dollars and
Yes.
taken up tons of space,
Totally.
right? So
Yeah.
you speak of vision. I've had visions of having a network and thought, how is this even possible? Well, now technology and the way that we're able to connect with people and authentically, and our new values and all of these things are just completely changing the landscape in the technological space, but also
Yeah.
as we talk about it, and how do we want to really work in business? What is going to support us? What is going to empower us? What is going to bring out our inner creativity and just change the whole landscape of the physical world, the digital world, everything.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It's exciting times.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this was let's do a high five.
Let's do a high five. There we go.
For the first
I'd
show.
actually practice that
Yeah,
high
I
five.
have to figure out how to shut this off, but also before we go, I just want to invite you to
Live stream
tonight.
tonight at 6 o'clock
6 o'clock.
Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
It'll be my second time, so I'll probably be a little more smoother there.
Yes.
At WeWork on Richmond,
In
downtown Toronto, or live stream here.
Yes.
Or live stream. Join us on Flow Network 99. That's it. Flover and out,
Flover and out.
as we like to say. All right.